will do a test topics recap for the ISC2 Certified in Cybersecurity in order to test my knowledge. If you hear me that I'm going very slow, it's because I'm low in caffeine right now, and I'm gonna try to do my best to explain everything. So we're gonna cover all the topics from the official topic chart from ISC2, and we're gonna go first with the understanding security concepts of information assurance. So first of all, we get to these topics, which is confidentiality, integrity, availability. As we know, these three concepts cover what it is called the CIA triad. In this case, the CIA triad are composed by these three, which are the confidentiality for the C, the integrity for the I, and the availability for the A. So these are the CIA triad. Now, what does confidentiality mean? Confidentiality is the concept of keeping the information only accessible to the users that need the information, or having the permissions uh, set up correctly in order to prevent unauthorized access to data. So confidentiality itself, the word confidential means having the information labeled as confidential for only the users that need it. So confidentiality itself only means keeping the information secure and accessible to the people that need it or that have permission to know about it. After that, we have the integrity. So first of all, I'm gonna put in confidentiality. I want to put confidential information. I think this is a very easy way of understanding how to manage confidentiality. Then with integrity, this means how real the information is. So basically, integrity means how real the information is. And the reason why I put it this way is because it's the easiest way to remember, since integrity can be applied in a lot of terms. For example, the integrity of this information when sent from one person to another, that actually composes as knowing if the information was altered. So integrity avoids the information to being modified or changed by a third party, for example. Confidentiality is on who has the information. Integrity is on how real and reliable the information is. And availability is always related to if the information is available. So I will put information. I always put like, is the information available? Available. And in this way, I remember very easily how exactly what exactly availability is. So is the information available? Is there backups? So availability is like, let's say we lose these data. So I'm gonna put an example to display the three of them. So first of all, let's say we have data one, and this data one is a super secret message that needs to be delivered from let's say a pen tester to a let's say someone that has let's put like internal manager, let's say internal IT manager or something like this. Let's say this is just fictional positions, but what I will put is that this data one so the confidentiality for the data one is that data one actually only pen tester and IT manager can access it. Then we got the integrity part. In this part, So this means data 1 was not modified and is encrypted. So it's real information. And then we got availability. The information is available and has a backup, let's say, in both devices. So confidentiality, only these two guys have access. Integrity, data is real because it was encrypted. Availability, the information is available and has backup. So it's encrypted and not hashed, because hashed means the information has only one way of, like, let's say hashed is only one way through that is only for validation of data, but encrypted is means that the data actually can be decrypted by the people that receive the message with either a private or public key. It depends on the type of encryption, if it's symmetric or asymmetric. But in this case, let's say it's asymmetric. So they first sent this data one with a public key, and it was then received to be decrypted with a private key. So that's encryption at its finest. Then authentication. Authentication is actually pretty easy. It just means the authentication of data. We can put it like something like this. So for authentication, we can. Okay, so there is actually different methods for authentication. We have, let's say, first of all, the biometric authentication. Authentication. We also have the, okay, so in this case, apart from biometric authentication, there is other types of authentication, which I have always thought of it this way. And authentication actually serves in a way that either you know, either you have, or you are. But in this case, we're not applying those. So this is one example of an authentication. We also have the multi-factor authentication, which is basically not one authentication process, but it's composed by two or more of them. So there are another ways of authentication, like for example, one-time messages, which is like messages sent to your device to confirm authentication. We also have, let's say, email authentication. We also have SMS authentication and so on. So we have a lot of these examples. You just need to understand what authentication is. And multi-factor authentication is when one of these plus another of these are combined. And there's sometimes where there are some tricky questions in the exam where they say like, there is this person that wants to access this data but needed to use his finger. So this is biometric authentication. Biometric authentication is everything related to your body, to what you are. SMS authentication is something related to what you have, because it's related to your device. And then we got the cards. This is something related to we can put, yeah, cards. I think cards is a great option, but we can put more options. Cards, scanners. This is something that can actually be great for what you have. And okay, so one of the most common, and I think that is always present in almost all systems is the passwords. And the passwords usually will be what you know. So, okay, non-repudiation. Non-repudiation means uh, that all the actions of a third party can't be denied to us if we track what the third party already did. So it's like a security measure for someone not to tell that they did not do something or that they did something that they didn't. So it's like a measure of security. And privacy itself, it's, as the word says, something that can have a lot of subtopics. But I will leave this one like this for now. I will go to the next topic. So, okay, risk management. In this case, the risk management is very important because risk management and also how big of an impact things can alter the processes of a company, let's say, as an example, is always related to risk management. So, risk priorities, risk tolerance. In this case, a risk priorities, um, it entirely depends on the system. But for example, I will put some examples of what some risk priorities are. So, risk mitigation is actually for a company to mitigate or delete the risk. Then we got risk acceptance is when the company accepts the risk. So it means it's better to accept it than to mitigate it. So the reason these two are important, and there's also more after these ones, is because the risk is also correlated to the impact. So a company will always measure the risk on how likely and how big of an impact will this have for them to take an action. So let's say if the impact is high, but the likelihood is low, then they will probably accept the risk. In some cases, this is not usually what they do because, I mean, it's high impact. Usually they will accept the risk only if their impact is low. So impact is low, like is high. So if the impact is low but the likelihood is high, they will also accept the risk. But if the impact is high and the likelihood is also high, they will definitely mitigate the risk. Because one of the things that companies go through is that when there's high impact and low likelihoods, they will usually go and mitigate the risk, as I said before, because they are not willing to lose, let's say, assets or data due to a risk. And they will rather invest money in something that has a high impact than investing in anything that can be related to something that probably not happen will not happen. But for now, people and companies always prioritize the functionality of the business. So the purpose of all this is to keep the business operations running even after a disaster. So this is very important. Companies will always focus on this, but I will put something very important before continuing with the next topic. Low um, impact, low and likelihood low. They okay, so the companies prefer to accept the risk and save. Okay, yeah, I will just put it like this. And after that, impact high, likelihood high, they will definitely mitigate risk. So in this case, I'll put delete risk. I'll just leave it like this. Um, so then risk identification, assessment, and treatment. So this is basically like the same thing, the same theory of this, but in different aspects. Risk identification is just the teams that identify risk, assess risk, how they treat it, and at the end, like it's like just what do they do with the risk that they found. So I'm gonna go to these. Okay, so technical controls, very important. The type of controls that are technical usually are the same that as always, like firewalls, antivirus, um, vulnerability scanners, intrusion detection system, intrusion prevention system, and so on. And then we got administrative controls. The best way that I knew how to identify administrative controls and to memorize what it is, I always remember the word policies. So policies is precisely what administrative controls are, because policies are rules set by the company, and administrative controls will always be things like rules that will apply to the employees. It's nothing related to controls related to something physical or technical. It's always like rules. And then we got the physical control. Then we got first of all, like fences, security cameras. After that, we got scanners. We also got we can put a lot of examples. Like imagine a building, imagine everything that they will have in the building, outside or inside, to prevent unauthorized access. After that, the professional code of conduct. I would rather, in this case, leave it blank for now because I will cover it in another video if possible, like in more depth, since this is a very long topic. But this is just the, let's say, ISC2 code of ethics that they matter and that they value. And usually it's all about respecting and growing as humans. This is like the full, let's say, like the summary of the code of conducts. Okay, so then we got the policies. Policies are the top rules set by a company globally. Procedures are step by step guides for employees. Then standards are like the standards everyone should follow. And then we got regulations as laws. This is like a um, state or country laws. So yeah, this is the policies are the top ones. Procedures are like a step-by-step guide for employees. Like a imagine a procedure as a guide to know exactly what to do with the policies and the standards. Standards is like general law that everyone should follow, but it's like a standard as the word says. And regulations as laws is only for countries and states. Um, so after this, we get the business continuity, disaster recovery, incident response concepts. So business continuity is to ensure operations remain working after an incident in a company. Disaster recovery, usually a team that handles a disaster recovery process in case there is an incident. So there is a procedure of what to do and also specific roles for that um, incident. And incident response concept. So yeah, incident response concepts is basically like concepts related to what the team should do when they find out there's an incident. So like roles and like things that they need to do in order to prevent that something bad happens to the operations when there's an incident. So yeah, then we got I already explained like business continuity. I'm gonna actually do it in this part. Prefer to do it here. So business continuity purpose, basically the purpose of business continuity, ensure all operations remain working inside a company after an incident. Importance, keeps operations running and assets safe. Components, business continuity plan, team that handles the plan with assigned roles, etc. Disaster recovery, this is a plan that focuses on recovering crucial systems after an incident. Importance, recovers last session or functional parts of the company that are crucial for the business, or yeah, I will just say like for the company. Yes, I think that this is really understandable. I don't want to confuse anyone. And finally, we have the components. It's basically like this exact same thing, but in this case, it's like sorry. There we go. In this case, I'll put like this is the recovery team in the house. Okay, perfect. Same here, like exactly same thing here. Cool. So purpose of incident response. I'll put something like for incident response, it's very important to know that it's about how the team reacts when there's an incident. So it's like the response for an incident by a team. After that, we got the importance. Uh, the importance is that this is a specific team that responds to an incident after it occurs. Okay, cool. So this is basically a very similar things. To be honest, it's not nothing that difficult to understand. Um, so after this, we got okay, understand the physical. Okay, physical access controls, batch systems, gate entries, environmental signs, same that I was telling before. Monitoring, security guards, closed circuit television, alarm systems, authorized versus unauthorized personnel, right? So physical access helps a lot on basically like preventing unauthorized access from someone that doesn't work in a company, for example. Then we got the logical access controls. In this case, uh, this is one of the most important ones because, okay, so least privilege is the user only has access to what he or she needs, no more. Okay, so it's basically knowing exactly what the user needs and granting him or her only that access permission. Segregation of duties. This is basically like the division of responsibilities for an user depending on his job position or role. But we will see more of this in a moment in this role-based access control. Discretionary access control is when the access control is decided by the discretion of someone. So it's someone that is responsible of granting people access, but it depends entirely on him. Mandatory access control. So this is one that is used in military mostly. It's labeled um, con. Let's put like X. It's if you see me like typing a lot, it's because I'm trying to find the best way that you guys can understand. It's a an access control that is defined by labels. For example, like only people can access this if they have the top secret label. Okay, so it's like assigned by labels. After that, we have the role-based access control, which is the access control that okay, I'm gonna put it. This one is the C assigns access control to people depending on their roles inside a company. Okay, network security. Okay, very interesting. We got to the OSI model now. Cool. So we're gonna go with first the OSI model. I think this is one of the most complex ones for now. We're not so far away from finishing, but I do want to make sure that I cover all the topics today. Um, First of all, if we go to the OSI model right now, I want to just write it here because it's very long. The OSI model is divided in 7 layers. We got first the physical layer, which means actually that there is light. The device is connected to light, or let's say we can also add an example that this layer actually is the one that makes the device be connected with reality or with a matter that makes it get connected. So it's something very abstract, even for me, because I have understood like seven different perspectives of this layer. So let's put it this way. This device is connected to light using cables and can definitely be uh, determined by the type of cable and connection. So this is basically the physical layer. It makes a device get connected and to have light, basically, to to start working. Then we got the data link layer, which in this case means that the device actually connects with another device. If you guys see an error or something that I said wrong, just let me know. But I'm just saying everything from my own memory. So I may have some errors, but at the same time, I know I'm very confident with what I'm saying. So data link layer, it's the one that connects one device to another device. In this case, it can actually be related to the MAC address, which means unique address of the device. This still, we are not getting to the IP connection. This is just a device connecting to another device through MAC address. So the MAC address gets connected to, like, MAC address connects to devices. And then we got the number 3, which is the network layer, which in this case is the one that assigns an IP to a device and connects them through their own. In this case, the difference between IP address and MAC address is that the IP can change and the MAC address cannot. The MAC address is a unique code that the device has. Every device in the world has a MAC address, but each one of them is unique. The IP address can store the same IP address in different devices depending on the group and the location. So the IP address basically tells the network where is this device located, and the MAC address tells who is this device. So that's basically the difference. To their own IP address. Cool. So after this, I'm gonna put the transport layer. In this case, it's just identifying if the message we're sending is using UDP or TCP. The UDP actually stands for the way of transmitting data and splitting the data in a way that the UDP can transport video, pictures, live video, gaming, etc. And the TCP usually transports everything like emails, WhatsApp messages, um, and this type of messages that are like client based. So the UDP usually is the fastest and the TCP is the slowest, but the UDP usually can get crashed or not send the entire packets because it was created to make a like a transport system that delivers data in a way that doesn't matter if some packets are lost in the process, it still delivers the fastest and highest quality as possible, while the TCP ensures that all the packets are sent. So let's say the TCP is used for sending email messages. So this one ensures that all my message was sent to another person entirely, and there was no data left behind. Um, then we got the TCP IP. Well, no, sorry, we are still missing like three layers. I'm sorry, but I'm gonna go with these ones in a moment. So first of all, after the transport layer, we got the session layer. The session layer actually is just for assigning ports. There's nothing very interesting in this one. I will talk more about it in a moment. Then we got the presentation layer. The presentation layer actually, okay, so the presentation layer in this case stands for encrypting, compressing, and formatting the data to a format in which the humans can read it. And finally, we got the application layer, in which in this case it means just that the application layer is just a process in which we are able to see the information. So it's like email, basically like messages, picture, etc. And okay, I'm gonna talk about ports very shortly because this one includes all the ports. And I'm gonna note something here really quickly. SMTP. This can be actually either. This can actually also be like SMTP if we're using email for messages. For pictures, this depends a lot on the protocol we're using to send the picture, so it's very variable, but I want to explain this in a while. First of all, then transmission control protocol, interprotocol, TCP/IP. So this model is basically the same model as the OSI model, but it's just that we changed the name to dividing the sections in a more optimized way. I will always still stick with the OSI model as my main way of seeing it, and then I can apply the TCP/IP model. And to be fully honest, I cannot catch up what were the names of the divided layers of the TCP/IP model, but I know they have the same structure as the OSI model, so you can look it up and try to compare them. Internet Protocol version 4, Internet Protocol version 6. The Internet Protocol version 4 uses, in this case, 32 bits, and the Internet Protocol version 6 uses 128 bits. You can actually apply this one in the network layer because the network layer assigns IP. This is for IP address protocols. And the Wi-Fi as well. Then we got the ports. I'm gonna know the ports. The most important ports you need to know are, okay, so first of all, 21 is the, in this case, the 21, we got the file transfer protocol. Then we got the 22 SSH. Then we got 23 telnet. We got 25 SMTP, which is for emails. Then we got the 53, which is DNS. We got 110, which is the POP 110. I'm sorry, POP 3. I confused the port number with the name. After that, we got the what else I'm missing? Okay, yeah, very important. The HTTP is always 80, and the HTTPS is always 443. I'm gonna put it like this. Yeah. So after this, I think these ones are the most important ones. There's also another one that I always forget, which is the SNMP, which I believe it's the 162. I always get confused with this one. It's just about a matter of practicing. But the main thing that you need to know, I need to do when knowing about ports is just try to memorize what do they do, try to understand what are their purpose, and try to follow this structure of the ports right here. Then applications, I think applications is like the layer 7 of this one. Like applications is the same as the ports, like knowing that SMTP stands for email communication, so that's the protocol. HTTPS is for secure websites, so that's the application protocol, and so on. Okay, so very important, we're gonna talk about type of threats. Okay, so first of all, I'm gonna put the distributed denial of service. This is a very interesting one since this one is user using a script to send multiple requests to a server. It can be either HTTP or HTTPS if it's a web server based attack. And since it's distributed, it means the script is sending multiple requests from different locations and flooding the server with an insane amount of requests, making it crash. So it's someone basically using a tool or a script to send requests to a server. It can be a web server based system, and since there are too many, the system cannot handle it, so it basically crashes. Um, then we got the virus. Virus is the most known one. Virus can be a lot of type of virus. It gets infects a machine. The worm is similar to a virus. The difference is that the worm usually can spread easier, and the worm is like dedicated to flood a system in a way that it's very difficult to put out or to mitigate. Man in the middle attack is when there's a third party user listening to two ports at the same time and attacking the system while someone sends the message here. The attacker modifies the message or sends or injects any type of virus or malware inside the message, and then he delivers it to the receiver. And in this way, he is attacking the communications of two endpoints. And then we got the side channel, which, to be fully honest, I cannot remember precisely which one was this, but these ones are very important. Then we got intrusion detection system. Intrusion detection system only did detects but doesn't prevent. Intrusion prevention system detects and prevents. After this, we got the host-based intrusion detection system. In this case, the user actually sets up a it detects but don't prevent, but it's only for one device. So host means one device. And then we got the network intrusion system, which means an entire network. So this one is for an entire network, not only one device, but an entire network. Then we got the prevention, antivirus, scans, firewalls, intrusion prevention systems. So intrusion prevention systems is like detects and prevents. It can be a network, it could be a host device. So antivirus is a software that can analyze the health of a device, detect virus. Scans can be used by penetration testers to either penetrate websites, to penetrate systems, to penetrate networks. But usually scans can also be to scan systems for vulnerabilities and to protect systems. Firewalls, okay, very important. Firewalls prevent and blocks malicious or not malicious, but yeah, blocks malicious, blocks unknown data or malicious um, attacks from the internet. Okay, I'm gonna delete this because I consider that it's more important to put it targets internet um internet okay, so itself the internet intrusion prevention system, the same as we talked about. And after this I'm gonna do a quick overview of this since it's like the last topics, but I consider them important. So okay, in this case, if we get here on-premise power data center, closets, heating, ventilation, air conditioning, environment of suppression, we're gonna see that. Okay, yeah, so these, and these are concepts that I would rather you guys to research them individually. But for example, I'm gonna explain something really important here. Service level agreement is an agreement level from two uh, organizations, or let's say from a client and a provider that basically agrees on what services are going to do. Um, this is something similar. So software as a service. Imagine software as a service as Google Docs. Infrastructure as a service. Imagine Cursor. No, sorry. This one will be actually Real Machine. And platform as a service is Cursor. So platform as a service lets you build applications. Infrastructure as a service lets you host an entire infrastructure to do whatever you want. And software as a service is just a software um, for services. Okay, so encryption. Symmetric encryption means only there are. Okay, so symmetric means the two keys are public. Asymmetric encryption means that one of the keys in order to decrypt the message is private, so only the combination of the public and the private uh, encryption can use to be decrypted. And hashing is completely different. It's just a one-way thing that cannot be decrypted. So if one letter changes in the whole hashing um, algorithm, the whole message will change, but it's just for verifying. Then we got the data destruction, destroying data, retention, retaining data, classification, classifying data, labeling data. These two are very similar. Logging and monitoring security events. I'm just gonna explain what I find important right now because there are some things that right here that I already explained in the past. Okay, bring your own device policy, a policy that tells people only to bring their own device to the companies, so they prevent like they can either tell them that they bring their own device or not, depending on the company. But for example, it's very important to listen to these rules in a company. Um, and yeah, social engineering is when there is the purpose of someone trying to steal information from someone else, trying to uh, like embody someone else, or someone trying to trick someone, confusing them of who they are. We also got the concept of spoofing, which means faking. We also got tailgating, which means um, getting inside a secure um, secure place as an unauthorized user. And then we got shoulder shoulder. I forget like the second part, but shoulder something was watching over someone's information without permission. So yeah, I mean, there's still some things that I could have talked about, but I'm running out of time right now, and I was just trying to do a quick recap of the whole summary of the topics. But I will try to do a second video if this one goes well, like explaining even better. This one was like a kind of a rushed video, not so many explanations, but I can try to explain questions if you guys have any questions. But these are the most important things for the topic of the test. So yeah, thanks.